Hello, this is Kevin with the Compulsive Investor channel. I just wanted to do a quick video here to introduce you to my system that I designed for keeping my rental properties organized. This is a business system for rental property management. It's a template for ClickUp, and there's a link down in the description to where you can sign up for ClickUp. This system will be available in a couple of weeks. And this is just the workflow for the SOP system. SOP stands for Standard Operating Procedures. The whole reason I created this system was so that I could do the same thing over and over again without making mistakes. Each one of these statuses in these SOPs have a checklist so that every single thing is followed to make sure I don't forget something like I have in the past. There's been times when I've forgotten to do. Sometimes it's a minor thing, sometimes it's something that can really get you into trouble. So I created this system to make sure I don't make mistakes like that in the future. First, there's the acquisition SOP, and this is just the first SOP you go through when you purchase a property. You want to go and inspect it and eventually make a decision whether you're going to write an offer on that property or abandon it and not write that offer. You may write an offer and the seller gives you a counter offer, or you give a counter offer after that. But eventually that property, if you choose to buy it, if they accept your offer, it moves into closing status and eventually into acquired status or not acquired. And I forgot to mention, ClickUp has multiple statuses. There's active statuses, and this is where something that needs to be done or something is waiting on something to be done. It's just something active that you have to do. Done statuses that are something that's been done, but you're not closing it out yet. You're keeping it open for some reason, even though it's complete. Closed statuses is something that's been complete. Now it's closed, and now it's just there for reference. The second SOP is the asset status SOP. This has two statuses in it, either tenancy in progress or filled. And this status gets started whenever you have a property go into closing. You have to start looking for a tenant, so you start an asset status SOP. That asset status SOP, when it's in tenancy in progress, that's going to start up an appliance SOP, and this just means you're either pulling appliances that are already there, or you're purchasing new appliances. Whatever you're doing, you're pulling those appliances into your system and organizing them and categorizing them, entering them into your system. So you have three statuses for that appliance SOP, and that's your storage or new appliance. That just means maybe you found a good deal when you have a few of them in storage and they just haven't been installed yet, or you're going to the store to buy that new appliance. Then you move into the in-use status for that appliance. That's when it's operating in the property, and when it eventually wears out, you're going to have to remove that from service and put a new one in there. So there's the three statuses. You have to set up a maintenance repair list for each property that you buy. And when you first buy it, there's going to be a rehab work order. During your tenancy, if you have somebody in there, you're going to get maintenance requests from them, or during your inspections, you might write them yourself. So the statuses for maintenance repairs SOP is a new request. Obviously, that's when something is first requested, repair, a job, or whatever, maintenance issue. You're gonna have a decision whether you're gonna do that or not, deny it, or it's gonna go into in progress and eventually be complete. And you might have an appliance that's about to go and or has already quit working. So here, that's why this may start up an appliance SOP if you have to replace one. There's going to be a utilities SOP every time. Again, you buy a new property, you have to get those utilities in the landlord's name here, and then after that property's filled, they're going to eventually have the utilities go into the tenant's name. Then we have the lock setup SOP. I use landlordlocks.com, but there's several different systems out there. Landlord Locks I've been using for years. It really helps me to keep my keys organized, so I'm not carrying around huge piles of keys from rental properties. I think I started using this system about 5 or 6 properties, somewhere in there. I just got sick of carrying so many keys around. It got really confusing. Now this is a simple system that keeps everything organized. Each one of my lock cylinders has an EM number on it, and I can rotate those cylinders to different properties every time I have a tenant turnover. So there's available. That just means it's a cylinder that I have available for a property, and in use is obviously it's just a cylinder, a lock cylinder, or multiple cylinders that are at a property already being used. Then we have the turnover SOP. This happens whenever you have a tenant turnover, and it'll eventually go into a rented status. But while it's in turnover, and this is possibly can go back and forth. And notice too, I didn't mention this yet, but some of these statuses flow in multiple directions back and forth. Some of them only go one way. So going back to our turnover SOP, when that property's in the turnover status, that starts another SOP down here. This is your screening. You got to start looking for a tenant. And that SOP consists of, it's a little bit bigger here. There's several different statuses in this SOP. You have the initial screening. That's when you first get an applicant and you're checking out their data for accuracy, making sure they have all their phone numbers and job and rental history. You're just checking all that information out. Then the tenant's going to go take a look at the property. You're going to show it, and if they decide to move forward, and if you would like to move forward with them, then you're going to move into the reference check, and that's when you're going to call all of their previous landlords, job references, so forth. If everything still checks out with this applicant, that's when you move into the processing status. During processing, the tenant's going to take possession of that property, and they're going to sign the lease and move into the accepted status. At any time during this, if it's not going to work out, or they don't pass any of these tests, or they don't pass to this screening, or they decide they don't want the property, then there's a decision here made by either side to reject that application. Finally, we have the tenancy SOP, and that is when a tenant here is accepted. It starts this tenancy SOP, and the statuses for that is either current tenant or past tenant. So this is an applicant that has been accepted and placed in a unit as a current tenant. And then of course, if there's a notice, a 30-day notice from the tenant or notice from the landlord that tenant's being removed, that's going to restart the process back up and come up and start a new turnover SOP, a new lock SOP. The utilities, again, you got to get back into the landlord's name, and then finally it's going to also start up an asset status SOP as well. This is my business system that I'm currently using to keep track of my rental properties, and it's going to be available for sale in just a couple weeks. I'm just going through final testing with it right now and looking for bugs. This system will be available at compulsiveinvestor.com. And if you take a look at my other channel, I'll have a link down in the description to the channel I use for more detailed videos about this system. If you have any questions or comments, please put them in the comment section below. And thank you for watching. Again, this is Kevin with the Compulsive Investor channel.